What's going on, people? Welcome back to Curtis Shaw TV, back with another live stream. We're back, people. We're back after the US tour, man, and good to be back with the community there, man. Back to action, and as we get ready for the season. Season starts next week, and I suppose the question is, are we ready for the new season? We got a lot to talk about, but listen, big up to everyone in the chat. Hope you're well. Happy Independence Day to all my Jamaican community as well today, as it's Independence Day. And I just want to let you know, I will not be wishing happy birthday to a certain Mr. Robin Van Snake, who decided to leave Arsenal a long time ago. I've seen Arsenal wishing him well. That will not be happening on this channel. But big up, yo, back. We're back, people, we're back. Hope you're well. Big up to everyone locked in, man. I appreciate everyone who's been watching all of the short content that we did over there in the States. And appreciate all the kind words and everything. So big up to everyone. We're here. And yeah, great to see all the usual suspects in the chat. Hope you're well. Glad to see you back. Yeah, man, we're here, people. America was lit, bro. Big up, Ben. Hope you're well, bro. Sorry I missed you. I believe you was at the Philly game as well. Don Curtis saved Robbie in the US Arteta. I told Robbie, man, you need to, I can help you in these press conferences, you know what I mean? Strider said you smashed it in LA, by the way. Normally, you're reserved on AFTV. It was C Unit saying, yeah, you know what I mean? I was there longer and I had to show the people them. You know how it goes, bro. Bro, so glad you're back. These other Arsenal channels don't it like Jorginho and the C Unit. Big up, bro. And I like this. Trick said, I wasn't a huge fan, Curtis, but the American tour was ace. Put me on your game. And that's what it's about, man. That's what it's about. Get to know people, you know. Big up to you. Jeremy said, big up C Unit. Hope you're well. Big up OGD, who says, big up Curtis. No Limit, it was good to see you in America, Philadelphia outside. Hey, big up, bro. It was a great stadium as well. Gary Dominica win the first ever gold at the Olympics. Amazing. Content was quality. No more Are You Fit, brovs. Tried, but he didn't want to talk. Howard said, my birthday tomorrow the 7th. Happy birthday, bro. And if Marseille could afford Mason Greenwood, cost them 30 mil, how come they're offering 20 for Eddie Nketiah? We will talk about that. We will talk about that in further detail. People saying Alexis Sanchez coming back, from what I've read today, he's going back to Udinese. Alexis to Arsenal would be interesting, that's for sure, but it ain't gonna happen, is it? He's gonna go to Udinese, from what I've read. He was gonna go to Marseille, I think, but it looks like he's gonna go to Udinese. Listen, let's get into it. Lots to talk about. Hit the like button. Subscribe if you haven't. We're nearly at 70. What are we at? 79,500, I think. So let's march on to 80k this week. By all means, man. Big up everyone. Don't walk around Philly again. Listen, people were telling me over there, make sure you stay in this area. Don't walk down there. I listened to a lot of Meek Mill back in the day. Not so much now, with all that Diddy madness. But yeah, man, you got to be careful in Philly. But I enjoyed Philly, to be fair. Nice city, lots of history there. I enjoyed it, man. LA was lit, though. I can't lie. Having a week in LA, the weather, a couple good nights out. You know what I mean? Apparently, Jude called you Unk. Hey, listen, none of that. No Unk talk from Jude, Big up. Obviously, let's talk about the tour. And listen, before we get into all the Arsenal conversation and in terms of transfers and all of that, We'll have a brief discussion about the tour. If you want to ask any questions, throw them in the comments. Yeah, man, R.I.P. Kev. We never forget, man. The funeral is this month as well. So yeah, man. Kev apparently was going to actually go on that tour as well, which was such a shame. And I did get to see. I did get to meet Andy Cole on the tour, and I spoke to Andy Cole for quite a while about Kevin Campbell, because Kevin Campbell was basically the player that stopped Andy Cole from, making his way through the Arsenal setup. And I had a good chat with Andy Cole about Kevin Campbell and stuff like that as well. So we'll talk briefly about the tour. I did run up the Rocky steps, believe it or not. I was a little bit disappointed because I thought the Rocky statue was at the top of the steps. So I ran up and it was all a Drago, all of that at the top. And I come to realise the statue's not there and they put the statue at the bottom. And big up everyone who put me on. I never knew that Kobe was from Philly. I just always assumed that Kobe was from LA because of the Lakers' history, but then found out obviously Kobe was from Philly. People let me know about that. Yeah, Cartel is free as well. Looks a little different, but yeah, LA is expensive, man. Anybody who lives there or who's been there will tell you, bro, it is not cheap. I tell you that. But a great city. Unknown C said the chemistry between you, James, and Robbie was hilarious. Notice everyone, including Arsenal, is so much more relaxed in the US. Wonder why. Listen, it was a crazy tour and a really good tour. And the best thing about the tour was, and I did try a cheesesteak. It was all right. It was all right. Bit heavy, man. You know, a lot of bread, but yeah, they're all right. They're all right. Patson Geno's, is it the famous one? People in Philly will know anyway. But some of do you know what's very interesting? You come away from this tour and you're like, right, they've, the players know about people's channels. And, you know, not just me, anybody that's watching this now as a content creator or whatever, these guys watch the channels, like they interact, and it was so much different. The most frustrating thing is that it's like this when you go on tour, but as soon as you come back to England, it all kind of gets locked off, and that's the thing that is a bit of a shame. And you know, but it was good. It was good. I shook hands with Arteta after one of the press conferences. I had a brief 10-15 second conversation with him. I just said, look, man, come on, win that title this year. And he was like, I'm going to try my best. I had a brief conversation with him. A brief convo with Josh Kroenke, but regular conversation with the players. Every press conference, we had the open training. After every game, they're walking by. Didn't get any interviews, which was the only disappointing thing. Obviously got to ask Arteta 2 questions in the press conference. Both of them were picked up by the media. The first one, obviously, I said to him, what's it going to take to finish ahead of Man City? He kind of gave me the politician answer. We need to get 114 points, which means win every game. Sky ran with that, but I wanted a bit more detail than that. But it's very hard to get an answer out of him. And then, obviously, the second one was crazy because what happened is me and Robbie are sitting next to each other in the press conference, and there's a media guy that picks who's going to ask the next question. So he says to Robbie, you will ask the last question. So I'm thinking, cool, I'm not going to ask a question this time. And then after Robbie asked that question, I'd still had my hand up to ask a question. And the guy said, that's the end of the press conference. Arteta's about to stand up and leave. He sees that I'm wanted to ask a question. He said, what, you wanted to ask a question? I said, yeah, man. So I said, look, we signed Declan Rice last summer, 100 million. If we find a special player, can we go to that level this season? And he said, I don't expect it to happen. And it was like, and then the media guy was like, oh, I don't usually let two people from the same media outlet ask a question. So he said, you're both AFTV. I said, I'm actually here as Curtis Shaw TV. And he said, oh, no problem. You can ask a question then, even if Rob is in it. So we figured it out. But they were like, and then people were like, oh, I think Arteta knows who you are. I said, listen, these guys watch people's content. So listen, and then there was a great point. They had an open training session. People were saying, should have headbutted Edu. I'll be honest with you, we did not see Edu the entire tour. We were told after a couple of days, Edu's here, but he's flown back to England to deal with transfers. So we never saw Edu the entire tour. And people were like, oh, you're going to turn corporate now. You shook hands with Arteta. You're not going to say anything. You know me, people. You know me. I'm going to speak my truth no matter what, right? Patience is there right now. It's pre-season. The sun's out. Holidays. It is what it is. I'm not going to be ranting and raving in pre-season. But you will always get the real opinions of me. I can't hold back people, unfortunately. That's why shirts have been ripped. All kind of stuff's gone off. Once the games start, you know what I'm saying? But I am trying to be calm because I just want to have a nice summer. But you'll never get corporate. You're always going to get the real. You're always going to get the real. You know this, people. You know this. Beresford said, you're back, your blood clot back, boy. Big up, my brother, big up. James said, happy Independence Day, Jamaica, big up. to Jamrock. Gotenelli, how good was Waneri? Do you think he should be in the squad? He was outstanding, and he should be in the squad. I don't care if he's 17. He's better than Fabio Vieira currently, in my opinion, without question. Tammy said, would Sean Dyche take Eddie Shaw on loan? I mean, listen, mate, we're struggling here. Apart from Calvert-Lewin, we got no strikers. I've called Duncan Ferguson out of retirement. He's 58 years of age. I'd never have Eddie Nketiah anywhere near this club. We eat bricks, we eat wood, we eat concrete. Big up to Tammy. Tommy said, good to see you back, Big C. Hopefully one day in the future when Arsenal play in Charlotte, I can meet you there, sure, on tour. Big up to you, bro. Hopefully they do go to Charlotte. And Dylan said, I have to mention, we loved the show with James. Big up. Yeah, I did a couple of quick shows outside the stadium. One with James, one with Lee Judges. Went down really well. Lots of positive comments. So obviously something we'll do more on the next tour. Ash said the most shameless part was you shaking hands and speaking with Havertz. Couldn't get more shameless. It was shameless. I said, what? Top scorer this year, 20 goals. He said, yeah, hopefully. I was like, raw, that's shameless. I'll be honest. When Eddie walked by, I just couldn't say anything. I couldn't. Like, you know me, people, I'm shameless. Like, I've called Havertz Donkey Kai, but that's his nickname. He said it publicly. His nickname is the Donkey. He loves donkeys. So I felt like I can still shake hands with Havertz. When Eddie was walking by, I looked and I was just having flashbacks. I've called him Eddie Murphy, Nutty Professor, all of that. I just couldn't say anything. It was shameless levels that I couldn't stoop to be honest. I was going to say bonjour, Eddie, because I thought he was signing for Marseille, but maybe we're not going to get to that point. We'll speak about it later on in the show. I know I am waffling a little bit here, but I thought I had to introduce the show a little bit and what happened on the tour briefly. He's back again. Yeah, so yeah, we couldn't do that. I should have said Akeem, the Prince, but nah, I couldn't say anything. And then just briefly, somebody just mentioned it there. Obviously, went on a night out in LA with a few of the boys, and it ended up people were going home. It was getting late. We left the club. We said we want to go to another club. A few of the boys went. Ended up just being me and Cecil. We go to this club. There's a line of paparazzi outside the club. So I'm thinking it's LA. Maybe one of the Kardashians are in there, or maybe an NBA player's in there. So we go over to one of the press guys and go, who's in the club? Who's everyone waiting for? They go, oh, there's some French soccer player in there. I think his name's Mbappe or something. So I'm like, Mbappe's in there. They're like, yeah. So I'm like, okay. I really want to get in this club now. So we go to the door. The guy's saying, look, $1,000 to get in the club. You got to buy a table. So I'm like to Cecil, listen, man, I'm not trying to see Mbappe that much, bro. I ain't paying no $500 each. And so we're like, nah, we'll have one more conversation with the guy on the door, and then we'll try and get in. So we go to him. We say, listen, bro, come on. We've come from England. We want to go in the club. How much? He says, give me $200 each, cash. So we're like, $200 is all right. I'm probably willing to pay that. But we're still trying. Come on, bro. Like, we're here. The club closes in like less than 2 hours. What you saying? He said, okay, because you come from England, just do $100 each. He said, just put the money in my hand, shake hands, put the money in my hand, go in. So I'm like, cool, $100, that's like £80. Anyone who goes to America, you know, you go for a decent meal, you're paying $80 by the time the tax, the tips and all that. So I'm like, $80, cool. Pay. He obviously pocketed it. Of course, I don't want to get the guy in any trouble, obviously. $100 each. So we're gas. We're going the club. As soon as we walk in the club, Chouameni's there. Not even in the VIP section. So we have a quick chat with Chouameni. Speaks good English. Got some big diamond chain on. Blah, blah, blah. Speak to him. So we go over to the VIP section. There's a whole heap of security blocking it off. Look through, and Mbappe's sitting on the back wall next to his brother, Ethan. I think he's got cane rows. So he's sitting there. So I look over there. So I'm like, who's he sitting next to? He's sitting next to Trent and Jude Bellingham. So I'm like, raw. You can imagine what's going off inside that nightclub, by the way. Like, I don't want to speak on it too much because I'll get in trouble. But LA, Mbappe, you can imagine the vibe in that nightclub. I won't say too much. It was going off. Let me just say that, right? And then Mbappe comes out. We try hail him up. Security's blocking off everything. You can't shake his hand. You can't take a picture. You can't do nothing. But he just gives man the little nod. Is he, oh, Kylian? He just gives man the little nod. So then Bellingham comes out with Trent. And I'm like, yo, Jude, man's from England, bro. He's like, yo. Yeah, you man in the comments know what time it is already. So I'm like, yo. And he says, yo, we're going to... We say, yo, can we take a picture? He says, yeah, we can take a picture. People, give me 1 second. My charger is not charging. Give me a second. Charger's doing me in here. I don't think it's plugged in properly. Right, it should be in now. Why is that charging? Right, there we go. Yeah, you man know. I can see the comments. So Jude comes over, takes a picture. We're chatting for a couple of minutes. He's cool, humble. We said, listen. And then obviously Trent's there. Trent's like, nah. He's like, yo, big up you, man, but I can't take no pictures, Scouse accent and that. So next day, Madrid extra run with the story and start running some story that Trent's going to Real Madrid. I wake up in the morning, 150 notifications on Twitter. I'm like, bro, what's going on here? Beer Liverpool fans in my comments. You've said Trent's going to Madrid. You've started this. Cecil had the same. It was all mad. Obviously, yeah, we bantered it off. But I was just thinking, is he saying no pictures because he doesn't want people to know he's in the club with Real Madrid players? I don't know, but obviously he was going to get pictured with them anyway. So Trent to Real Madrid. Yeah, it's happening, people. He whispered Hala Madrid. Nah, he didn't, but... yeah, it was a mad one in there. It was a mad night. I can't lie. It was a good night in there. But yeah, we never got to meet Mbappe or take a picture. But he nodded anyway. But I should have shouted, why didn't you sign for Arsenal? But hey, it was mad. It was mad. Liverpool fans were fuming in the comments. I don't know what's wrong with Scousers. I never said he was going Madrid. Took a picture, said he was with Bellingham and Mbappe. But hey, it is what it is. But yeah, LA man was lit. I'll be honest, I went last year, I come away, I said, I don't know about LA, This year, I was like, LA is proper. It was a proper night. $100? I think it was worth every penny, to be honest. James said, all the big medias ran with your questions to Arteta. I'm telling you, 3 questions I've asked at Arteta. All 3 of them got picked up by the media. And Trixie said, we better go for Gyokeres or I'm going to lose my mind. Yeah, man, listen, it was great anyway. It was great. It was great. And Southern Guna, Matt, you're right. In 11 days, it gets real. The one final thing I want to say that was interesting is we went to the media day in Philly. Press conference is meant to be at 11 o'clock. They delay it until 12. So we're like, that's interesting. Don't usually delay it. And they then come out and say, listen, they're going to announce Calafiore at 12:15. So don't tweet anything about it. But the club are going to announce it at 12:15 US time. 12:15, they announced it. Then 20 minutes later, they said, right, for the open training session, Calafiore's going to walk onto the pitch. So I said, rah. So we got there, started training. Calafiore walks out after about 15 minutes. So we literally got a first look. And then they interviewed him. Robbie got to ask him a question. Big guy, long hair, Maldini looking Don. And that's where, it was good. So we got literally the first look at Calafiore. So listen, the access is unbelievable. Like I said, the sad thing is, you get all that access, all that interaction. You come back to England, everything lock off, people. You can't get near them. You can't get in a press conference. You can't get no access. You can't get a damn thing. So, but listen, great trip, great tour. Obviously, we drew with Bournemouth, beat them on penalties, beat Man United, lost to Liverpool. The games, I'll be honest, the part of the tour that didn't bang, in my opinion, was the actual games I thought were quite meaty, to be honest. I don't know what anyone else thought watching them on TV. The Bournemouth game, the stadium was less than half empty. That was like a training match. The Man United game at SoFi was okay. We beat them, but it was average. And the Liverpool game was average. Liverpool ended up with about 9 teenagers on the pitch. And we couldn't beat them. So the actual games were quite meaty, to be honest. And I felt a little bit sorry. I think some of the fans in America were quite ripped off because the fact that half of our best team wasn't there, and you know they're still charging $200 or $300 for a ticket is disgusting. Big up my bro Akeem. So much violence in England. Clowns ruin it. That's why you don't get access. Probably right. It's crazy. Fly back from America and I'm like, oh, what's happening in England? There's a heat wave. Oh, okay, yeah, they're rioting in the streets. They're looting in the shops and there's racial wars going off. It's like, yeah, welcome back to England, eh? But the less said about that, the better, I suppose. But you're right. Fans here probably wouldn't know how to behave, but the ticket prices were an absolute disgrace. But anyway, let's get down to business. Big up to everyone. I know I've waffled for the opening 20 minutes, but I haven't spoke to you guys for a while outside of the short content. So, yeah, people saying you shouldn't have come back. Maybe I should have stayed over there. Let's talk about transfers, because let me say something. People bantering, you're going to turn corporate now. You've met Arteta and this, that, the other. Let me tell you something now, people. Let me tell you something now. Season starts next weekend. Not this weekend, next weekend. And when it comes to this transfer window, yo, I'm trying to stay calm right now. It's until the end of the month. I am not happy with this transfer window. People can tell me about the Euros, the Copa America. Oh, Man City haven't signed no one, or they've signed Savio and that's it. Don't panic. No, there is panic. The onus is on Arsenal to do their business. I had this debate so many times in America. Oh, but Man City haven't signed anyone. Let me tell you something. Manchester City can sign no one and still win the league next year. Simple as that. They don't have to sign anyone. Haaland will score 30 goals. De Bruyne will be one of the players of the year. Foden will be... You know what's going to happen with that. City don't need to sign a damn one player. Not one player that can win the league. We need to sign 3 or 4 players to catch Man City. So all that Man City, oh, they haven't signed anyone, doesn't bother me at all. I want to know what Arsenal are doing. Calafiori, cool. Defender, left foot, left back, centre back. That's something with, yeah, it can help. But that was not the number one priority. I need a striker. I need a centre midfielder next to Declan Rice. I need a right winger that can challenge Bukayo Saka. This window closes in 3 weeks. In June, people said, don't worry, it's too early. In July, they said it's the Euros and the Copa America. We're now in August. The season starts next week. What is going on? Why are we not selling players? Let's start by talking about it. Let's break them down one by one. I want to know your opinions. I need to know about Eddie Nketiah. And let me tell you, people, I spoke to a number of people who work for Arsenal while we was over there, right? I'm sitting in America. And I'm hearing Marseille have offered 27 million euros for Eddie Nketiah. 23 million pounds. And Arsenal said no. Now, if Marseille come back and lift that offer and you get the deal done, cool. Both hands up. You've done well. People think he's worth more. But I always say the market will dictate the value, not you. You can put your car up for sale for 10 grand, but if it's only worth 8 grand, you'll probably only get 8 grand for it. Now, yeah, in the market, we can look at the market and say, okay, there's players with less of a reputation who've gone for more money, and I get that. You've also got to look at it and go, Marseille paid 30 million euros for Mason Greenwood. Mason Greenwood is a better footballer than Eddie Nketiah. That's the reality. Mason Greenwood's a scumbag for what happened off the pitch. We know that. On the pitch, the guy's a very, very good player. Had a good season last year. I don't see how Marseille would pay more money for Eddie Nketiah than Mason Greenwood. I would have snapped their hands off. I'll be honest with you, people. I would have snapped their hands off for 27 million euros. Maybe you get a sell-on clause, 20% sell-on clause in the future. I would have kept it moving and snatched that 14 shirt off his back and retired that clock. Let me tell you that. You ain't getting 50 million for Eddie. You ain't getting 40 million for Eddie. If you can get 30 to 35, I think that's unbelievable. But 27 million euros, I would have took that. 20% sell-on clause in the future in case he ever does something. Greenwood has a 50% sell-on clause. There you go. And listen, he could go France, rip it up and end up at PSG for 80 million. And you get another 40 million. So we could have said, okay, we want 30% sell-on clause. We'll do it for 27 million. Now look at the story. HITC understands Arsenal are prepared for Eddie Nketiah to stay at the club if their valuation is not met by interested parties, with Mikel Arteta more than happy to keep the player, insisting he was never pushing him out of the club. I mean, real talk, this guy is bulletproof. This is the Teflon Dom right here. You can't get him out. You can't get him out of this football club. How much more are we going to get for him? Now, yeah, maybe you get them to 30 million euros. But Marseille have just signed a player on loan with an option to buy, an attacker. So maybe they might say, you know what, we got one in on loan now. We don't need to spend 27 million on him. It's risky business. And people have messaged me saying, yeah, you're always pushing for the club to get more money. Now you're moaning they haven't took the money for him. No, I think the deal, I think 27 million euros is a reasonable price for Eddie, especially if you get a sell-on clause in there as well, like Man United did with Greenwood. So I don't know what you guys think about this, but I'm worried. There's also a story today saying Arsenal are potentially still looking for an attacking player, but it's dependent on player sales. Now, the reality is this. If Eddie stays, Jesus ain't going nowhere, and Kai Havertz ain't going nowhere. We will not sign a striker if those three stay. Because how can you justify that to the board? Well, I've got Eddie on 100 grand a week. I've got Havertz on 275 grand, and I got Jesus on 200, but I want another striker. The first thing the owner's going to say, you got to sell one of them. You got to sell one of them. So if all three of them stay, we're not bringing in a striker. If we don't bring in a striker, I don't think personally we've got enough to win the title. I think we need a striker. So, listen, they're playing chess. I get it. They're going to try and push Marseille to come back with 30 or 35 million. They're probably thinking, well, we got 35 million for Balogun. Eddie's an England international. He's played more Premier League games. I do understand it, but you've also got to be careful because clubs will just walk away and say, well, we'll buy someone else and leave you to it. So let's see what happens with that. I understand it, trying to get more money for players. You've also got to make sure the deal happens. You can't afford for this guy to stay at the club. We continue to be stressed as a fan base, yeah. Southern told you Nketiah will more than likely stay. Havertz is the centre forward. Nahar said, good to have your streams back. I took a break from Arsenal and the transfer news. Now seeing this Eddie news. Is there any good news? Well, hopefully. Saliba said, I'm telling you now, Eddie is staying. Midnight said, would you like to see Gibbs White? I do like him. I'd put players like Eze above him in that attacking midfield role. You better not turn jacket and tie, said Mr. Cool Bus Driver. Hey, relax, man. Never that, bro. Unknown C said that Nketiah smile. It's that smile of a man who knows he's probably staying for another year. Sam said, see, if Nketiah is still chasing after his own touch this season while wearing Thierry's shirt, I will have to call it a day. And you know what? He was poor in pre-season, honestly. And that's me keeping it a buck. I'm sure you guys watch the games online as well. He was poor. And you know what? He had a certain, how can I say it? When he was in the mix zone, he seemed quiet and a bit down, as if like he knew he was leaving. You know, I thought, yeah, he's going. He doesn't look happy, you know. Yeah, Smith Rowe had that same look. It was like, well, it's like knowing you're getting sacked from your job, but having to finish the rest of the month, you know. I felt like he thought he was going, and all of a sudden this deal looks like it might collapse. I hope it doesn't. Big up E. Ross, glad you are back. Big C, Arsenal pricing Eddie to stay at the club. Let's just see. I mean, the deal hasn't collapsed totally, but Marseille have signed somebody else. Southern Gooner said, what was the vibe from the crowd while he played in the stadium? Do you know what? It's funny because half the fans like Eddie. You know, he often get Eddie, you know, you get that. And then the other half are like, yo, this Donny ain't good enough, man. Get rid of him. It's quite split on Eddie for some reason. I always say to people act like Eddie's 18. You know, if Eddie Nketiah was 18 years of age, I would understand that mentality. You know, he's one of our own. He came through the system. We're backing him to do well. Eddie Nketiah, and I need to go full screen, people. and get the comments off the screen. Eddie Nketiah is 25 years of age. I don't think people understand that. He's 25. And some of the fans treat him like he's an 18-year-old who's just come through. And, you know, I would have a lot more patience with Eddie if he was 18. I'd say, yo, young buck, just come out the youth team. Give him time, man. He's one of our own. Donny's 25 years of age. Same age as Kylian Mbappe. Like, you're supposed to be really working your way towards the best times of your career. We're treating him like he just come out the under-23s. He's 25. Sell him. Stop messing around. What, like, get rid of him. People saying check the stats. The stats aren't pretty, bro. 5 goals, 4 goals. Yeah, nah. He's got to go. He's got to go this summer. That story needs to end, I'm afraid. Yeah, he's not just out of Hale End, bro. He's been at the club for years. He's had loan moves and everything. So, the Lingard of Arsenal. I mean, at least Lingard had some good seasons and got in the England team. And do you know what I mean? You know? Cal said it doesn't make sense if we're relying on Havertz to be the striker. We're relying on Partey. I'm nervous. Definitely. I think, unfortunately, that Havertz will be our striker. Unless something drastic happens. But we'll see. We'll see. There is time. Things can change. But I am a little worried at the moment. Let's move on from Eddie. In more ways than one. Let's talk about Merino. Again. Arsenal are so frustrating when it comes to transfers. And I know people say, be patient. This, that, the other. Domino effect. Things can fall into place. We're over there in America. In Philly. And we're hearing the deal has advanced. The deal is close. The player has agreed. The club have verbally agreed with Sociedad. I'm thinking in my head, by the time I land at Heathrow, this deal's done. Like, it sounds like this deal's practically over the line. Player has rejected the contract of Sociedad. He wants to join Arsenal. He's spoken to Arteta. We verbally agreed with Sociedad. It's 30 million euros, which ain't a lot of money. This deal's done. I'm thinking Emirates Cup, he might even be in the squad. Emirates Cup first game tomorrow. The deal's still not done now. Yeah, the deal is imminent, but they're now saying Arsenal hold an ongoing interest in Mikel Merino. A central midfield remains a focus. The player is hugely admired by Arteta, but Arsenal are still exploring their options in the midfield market. Merino would be keen to join if an agreement can be reached. I mean, I'm taking that as maybe we're looking at somebody else who Arsenal think is better than him. And that's why they're not pulling the trigger on this deal yet. You know, that's how I'm reading into it. Why have they not got this deal done? It's on the table. Do the deal, pull the trigger. It's 30 million, it's cheap. Maybe they're looking at Frankie de Jong, who Barcelona are apparently saying they may be willing to get rid of, but the wages are astronomical. I mean, a lot of you saying Bruno G. I mean, I think that one's difficult now because the release clause has run out. It would cost a fortune. Listen, I hope it's not Rabiot. Rabiot is obviously a free agent now. Our name has been associated with him. So I don't know with this one. Again, how good is he? When I've seen him, I think he's a good player. I don't think he's an amazing player. I think he's a good player. Is he a level changer? I think for 30 million, it's good business. He's left-footed. He's decent on the ball. He battles well. He's played in the Prem. He's played in Spain. Is he a game changer for Arsenal? I'm not sure if he is. I think he's a good player, but not a great player. I would say if you signed him for 30 million, I would still like to see another midfielder coming. You know, we've been linked with Fabian Ruiz. Man City, not Man City, PSG have just signed João Neves. Could you get Fabian Ruiz as well? Could you go to Barcelona and get Frankie de Jong? But I just think de Jong's wages are too high. So this is an interesting one. I think that deal will probably still get done. But I just get the impression maybe we're looking at somebody else. And that's the reason we haven't quite pulled the trigger on this one yet. But the thing is, really, you just want Arsenal to get deals done. As Southern Gooner said, we start the Premier League season in 11 days. we've only signed one new player. We've only signed one new player. You know, you want to be starting the season ready to go. And again, as I keep saying, people, don't get caught up in what Man City are doing. People keep saying, oh, but Man City have only signed Savio. No, Man City are the best team in the league. They don't have to do a lot and they can still win the title. We need to do business. We need to bring players in. First game, Wolves at home. Second game, Villa away. You don't want to be going Villa away against your former manager who are now in the Champions League, who've done business, you know, signed a Nana and one or two others. That's a tough game. I want to remind you, right, of a run of fixtures. Wolves at home, okay, I expect us to win that, but you never know. After Wolves, we've got Villa away, Brighton at home, Tottenham away, Manchester City away. If your squad is not prepared and you drop points in 2 or 3 of those games, you're scrambling back already. We've seen how fine the margins are when it comes to Man City. 1 or 2 bad results can cost you the title. So you've got to be prepared. You've got to be ready. So, yeah, Maatsen, Villa got Maatsen and, you know, Anana. Look at West Ham. They've got Fulkrug. They've signed Somerville. People are getting business done. We should be looking at the fact that Man City haven't brought anyone in as an opportunity for us to say, okay, we can get 3 or 4 players in, get ourselves one step ahead of them and catch them up. So let's see what happens with Merino. It still looks like it's there to be done, but we just haven't done it yet. Are we looking for somebody even better? I hope so, but we'll see. 90 points or more needed. 100%. 100%. They'll get 90 points again, Man City. I didn't even think Man City last season were at their best. And, you know, De Bruyne missed half a season. Haaland missed 8 weeks. And Man City still got 91 points. They still got 91 points. So I think we're going to, you know, last season Arsenal got 89 points. We're going to have to get, I would say, 3 to 5 more points than that to possibly win the league. 28 wins last year. We'll probably have to win 30 games out of 38. So the room for error is very small. We need to be winning games. Yeah, we're going to be looking to come fourth. No, listen, I think we'll be in the title race, but we got to get business done. We got to address the right people and the right positions in the team. Purple Shelter, big up everyone. Big C, I'm late. I've liked the video. Please press that like button, people. Bless up from South Africa. Big up, bro. Get the likes up to 1K. Subscribe. Road to 80K. We got to hit 100K this year. 100K's got to get wrapped up by Christmas. We're going to upgrade the content. We've got some new equipment. So you're going to see some changes. Do you know the interesting thing? I got a new camera. I used it in America, so you would have seen a noticeable difference. But on StreamYard, you can only go up to 1080p, so you can't actually do it in 4K. So I may have to change the way I stream and do it through OBS to get higher level of content kind of thing. But yeah, we're going to do lots of new stuff as the season kicks in anyway. So look out for that. Anyway, let's move on. Merino. That one is there. They may be waiting for somebody else. Let's talk about this, man. Victor Gyokeres. He's played a couple of pre-season games. He played in the Super Cup at the weekend. And Arsenal apparently sent scouts to watch. That's what Fabrizio Romano has said. And I said this a few times on the tour. If Arsenal don't sign a striker, I don't think we'll win the league this year. And that's not me giving up, and that's not me saying it's impossible. Yeah, maybe Havertz surprises me and gets 20 league goals, 18 league goals, and, you know, maybe we get a better season from the 2 wingers, because let's face it, Martinelli was not good last season. He looked sharp in pre-season. He only got 5 goals last year. If Martinelli can get 15, 16, 17 league goals, Saka the same, maybe Havertz gets 17, 18, that might get us to the title. But I just think we need a striker. To me, there's 3 options. Isak was the option, but you ain't getting him this summer. Watkins, you're not getting him. Champions League, new contract. It's not going to happen. Villa have got a lot of money. It's Gyokeres it's Ivan Toney, it's Victor Osimhen. They are the 3 strikers that are available in this window. Osimhen has a release clause, but it looks as if they're willing to negotiate lower now. Chelsea have been in talks. PSG have been in talks. Gyokeres has a release clause. Again, looks as if they're willing to accept less. And of course, Ivan Toney, they're now talking about 50 million. You've got 3 options there. Now, all 3 would come to Arsenal. I've got no doubt about that. But like I said, your number one problem, Arsenal need to get rid of Eddie Nketiah, because I don't see how the Kroenkes would allow Arsenal to sign another striker when you've got Jesus, Havertz and Eddie all picking up big wages, and then you want to add another striker to that. You've got to sell one to bring one in. Now, you guys have probably seen today, Manchester City are selling Julian Alvarez for £83 million. They paid 15 million plus add-ons for him 2 years ago. They're going to sell him for 83 million to Atletico Madrid. Now, that only means one thing, people. Man City are going to be in the market for a striker. They're going to have £83 million on the hip. They're going to buy somebody. They're not going to leave Haaland by himself. I'm pretty sure they will go into that striker market and grab someone. And you know Man City don't mess about. So we've got to hurry up. If we want a striker, get moving. Get Eddie out the door. Get somebody through the door. Because there aren't many options. There aren't many options. City might go and get a striker. Chelsea want a striker. Man United might go for a striker. Now Højlund's out. You know, Tottenham want a striker. Outside of those 3, I can't see a striker out there that would be good enough that we could pull out of a club. Now, Fabrizio's saying Arsenal may make a late move for Gyokeres. Gyokeres seems to be the one that we're more interested in. I think the big wage and the big fee of Osimhen maybe is off-putting for them. Ivan Toney, for whatever reason, it seems as if Arsenal just don't like him. So it seems as if Gyokeres is the one they're more interested in. I don't know a great amount about him, but he looks good when I've seen him. Even the other day, he went on a fantastic run, ran from his own half, created a chance. He looked good, but it's very difficult for us to get excited about these strikers coming to Arsenal, because unless Eddie goes, I don't see how you get a striker through the door. How can you have 4 strikers on your wage bill on big wages? It just doesn't happen. So I get the impression, I'm going to be honest, and I hope this isn't right, but I feel like Arsenal might wait until next summer, which is a huge risk, but I just think he's going to justify Havertz, Jesus as the backup, Eddie as the third choice, and maybe they'll buy a midfielder and go for... They may think, look, we can get Isak next summer. But we will see. We will see. I said it in one of my interviews, I'd sign Ivan Toney. People were like, why do you want Ivan Toney so much? Nah, it's a case of Toney is, number one, a very easy deal to get done at £50 million. He wants to play for Arsenal. He's Premier League proven. The adjustment period, I think, would be very easy. You've seen before sometimes that you can buy a player. You could buy Gyokeres for 80 million. It might take him 12 months to settle in this league. Osimhen the same. I just think with Toney, he would transition straight into this team, and he's also would be the cheapest out of the 3. So and it is tough. It is tough because as Arsenal fans, we hear, as you said, next season, next year, next transfer window, we hear that too often. We want to hear this season, this transfer window. And as I've always said, this is not, in my opinion, a difficult window for Arsenal to address. I just don't think it is. I think Arsenal needed 4 players as a bare minimum. If they were all high quality, I think it would have given us a great chance of winning the league. One was a versatile defender, which you hope Calafiore is that signing. Obviously, Timber has come back, so our defence looks rock solid now. Second was a goalkeeper, if Ramsdale goes. That hasn't happened as yet. Third was a centre midfielder, which we need a centre midfielder to play next to Rice. That's not difficult to address. You can get Merino. You could probably get Frankie de Jong if you pay the wages by the looks of it. We could have got Douglas Luiz. We could have got Onana. You know, the Bruno Guimaraes had a release clause. There's plenty of options in midfield. And then we needed a striker. Now, like I said, we could have got Sesko if we wanted to break the bank. We could get Gyokeres. We could have even gone in for Julian Alvarez. We could get Tony, and we could get Osimhen. And then we need a right winger. We could have gone for Elise. We could still get Neto. There's so many options in the positions that we want players. I just don't think this is a difficult window. It shouldn't be a difficult window, but I think what's holding us back is we're struggling to sell players. And I think that's why we're not going into the market in a big way. TV1 said a couple of weeks ago I was feeling optimistic. Calafiori was done. Merino seemed imminent. With plenty of time to get that striker. Now I don't feel as positive. I get you. I do get you on that. Quinn said, Mikel Merino to Arsenal. What do you think? I think it's a good signing. Not a great signing, but a good signing. Does he take us to the next level in midfield? I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. I would love to have seen somebody of that next level, a Barella, a De Jong, or somebody like that. Don said, I don't want Alvarez. He's not that good. It's hard to tell, innit, because he doesn't play every week. If he played every week at Man City, Alvarez, how many goals would he score? I think he'd get a lot. Gyokeres said, why can't Arsenal be serious? Surprises with a superstar signing like Musiala or Wirtz. By the way, I'll happily send extra money to Marseille so they can buy Nketiah. We'd all chip in. Yeah, we'd love to be surprised, man. You know, an Alexis Sanchez, Aubameyang type of signing, but hasn't happened. Well, Rice last year, but Matt said, Curtis, if we had a striker, we win the title back-to-back. That motivation alone should have had us bringing the striker in before the season starts. And I agree with that, especially last season. I think a top-quality goal scorer, we would have won the league. I think we'd have been champions. We'd have beaten Aston Villa. We'd have beaten Fulham. We'd have beaten West Ham. 21 shots on goal, can't score. A good quality goal scorer wins us those games. For me, going into this window, striker was priority number one over anything else, along with probably the centre midfielder, because I don't think Partey is reliable. So we'll see. We will see. It is a concern, but let's hope they get it done. Couple of other bits to talk about before we wrap up. It is the Emirates Cup tomorrow, by the way. And I won't be doing a watch-along, unfortunately, because I'm going to the game. Obviously, as you know, during the season, don't hardly get to go to the Emirates because I do the watch-alongs for pretty much every game, to be honest. So I'm just going to use this as an opportunity to go and watch Leverkusen, Granit Xhaka, and Frimpong and a few others playing for them. So there'll be no watch-along. I will be live at 2 o'clock tomorrow, though. But yeah, no watch-along, unfortunately. We'll be back for, obviously, the start of the season. Let's talk about this. Do I say boy? But anyway, I shouldn't call him a boy. You're a grown man, to be honest. Carol said, I'm going as well. Link up. Yeah, shout me, bro. I'm about. I'll be down there early as well. How good was Ethan Nwaneri this pre-season? And people will go, it's pre-season, it's a friendly, don't get carried away. And I get that. You do have to hold back a little bit. I think Arsenal need to involve him this season. I'll be honest. We all consider ourselves experts in football. That's the reality. I think you can just tell when somebody's a player. It's not difficult to tell the way they control the ball, the way they look after the ball. I just think he has to be involved this season. Now, being involved doesn't mean he starts every week. I'm not saying throw him in and play him every week. I just think he should be in the squad. I think he should be getting game time. Should be coming off the bench. He should be starting in cup competitions. I was very, very disappointed with Fabio Vieira in pre-season. And also disappointed in the manager because I don't know why he thinks Fabio Vieira is a right winger. He cannot play there. If you're going to play Fabio Vieira, you play him in the attacking midfield role behind the striker. You don't play him right wing. He doesn't have the pace, the strength, the skill to go past the fullback. Vieira had a terrible pre-season. This kid looked fantastic. Dribbling past people, spraying passes, looked strong. He's got to be involved. Now, people saying tomorrow is... the Emirates Cup as well is on Sunday, against Lyon. Tomorrow is obviously a friendly against Bayer Leverkusen. So Sunday, I'm not sure whether I'm going to that game. I might be away for the weekend. So I may not do that game either, unfortunately. But I'll let you know. I'll keep you up to date. But Ethan Nwaneri, for me, needs to be involved. It's about time that we're always talking about Hale End. I think this kid's ready to be involved and get game time. Silky on the ball. Quite similarly, last year, Arsenal against Manchester United, 17-year-old Kobbie Mainoo bossed the midfield. We all come away from the game going, damn. Declan Rice in midfield, 100 million. This Kobbie Mainoo's just ran the show, 17 years of age. Are Man U going to give him a chance? They give him a chance. He goes to the Euros. He plays for England. I want to see Ethan Nwaneri involved in this in this Arsenal setup. He looks stronger than Fabio. He looks ready to go. Matt said, was Fabio as small as he looks on TV? The lad hasn't picked up one weight. Ethan looks solid. Definitely needs to be involved or loaned to a team. Let me tell you, Fabio Vieira, lightweight, bro. Lightweight. In person. Slim. Small. Listen, you can be slim, small, playing the Prem and ball out. You can. You got to be intelligent. You got to be clever. Got to get on the ball and avoid physical battles with people. You know, David Silvas and Ozils and Matters, they were small. They used to wriggle away from people. You know, Bernardo Silva. This guy is not built for the Prem. I'm telling you now. Fabio is not built for the Prem. I've always said, I will never come on this show and say Fabio Vieira is a poor football player. I think technically everybody can see that there's a footballer there. He's got a good touch, good pass. He's not built for the Prem. But it certainly ain't going to help if you're playing the guy right wing. He's not a right winger. I would have sold Fabio Vieira this summer. I just would have. I think he's done at Arsenal. But Ethan, yeah, listen, I met him a couple times on the tour. And I said to him, bro, your time. Your time. You're ready. They need to give you a chance. Do you know one of the best things? We were outside Philadelphia Union Stadium. Arsenal trained there the day they announced Calafiori. So the media day's done. We're hyped. Done the press conference, asked a question. We met Calafiori, shook hands with him. So we're outside waiting for the Ubers to come and pick us up. And the training pitch is across the road from the actual stadium. So we're waiting on the side of the road. 4 players walk out of the stadium. They're walking across the road to the training pitch. So we're waiting. And we didn't even say anything to them because we didn't see them initially. We just heard them come out. And they walk over, tap us on the shoulder, hail us up. We spoke to them for a couple minutes. And it was Martin Odegaard, Ben White, Nwaneri, and who was the other one? I'm actually forgetting who it was. Ben White, Nwaneri, Odegaard, and who was the fourth? No, maybe it was just 3 of them. No, there was 4. There was one more. I forget who the other one was. I think it was Kivior. And they come over, and we were talking to him for a few minutes. And like I said to Ben White, I said, what, you're going to play for England? Timber, there you go, Timber. How do you guys know more than me? It was Timber. Timber's very, very quiet, by the way. He hardly speaks, but he's built like a tank. And we were speaking to Odegaard, and we spoke to Ben White. Ben White doesn't usually say much either. He's usually very quiet. I said, yo, you're going to play for England now Southgate's gone? He's just like, yeah, maybe. We'll see what happens. Spoke to Nwaneri. He said, bro, you've been balling out on this tour, man. He said, yeah. And we said, yo, sure time, man. You need a chance. He said, I hope I get a chance. They said it on FTV. Yeah, I actually forgot. Good job you lot pay attention. Timber hardly speaks. He was just like, yeah, thank you, man. And we was like, oh, good to see you back. And we were like, yo, that was amazing. Because they weren't close to us. They were just walking across the road. And we didn't even see them. And you're like, yo, these lot definitely watch people's channel. But the media people tell us they watch your channel. So it is what it is. KD said, we need to have a transfer window like Virgil and Alisson. I don't understand why we're not going for the kill, get players who can win us the league. Thoughts? You're spot on, bro. Everybody knew that season that Liverpool were moving crazy. They lost Coutinho, but they said, right, Alisson, unbelievable goalkeeper. Van Dijk, one of the best defenders in the world. And that was it. That started the trophy run. All we need is a striker, centre mid, right winger, and we're in that situation. And we're not even desperate for the right winger because we got Saka, but we need competition. But the centre mid and the striker can win us the title. Gunnar Jenks said, Big C, I can't chat or send super chats on my main account, TKA. I will check that, bro. If I can't sort it out, send me an email, curtisshawtv@hotmail.com. Maybe maybe one of the mods has banned you by accident or something. Bo said, Big C, what did you say to Ethan? Also, Bin Eddie. Yeah, like I said, I just said, yo, you need to get a chance. I bet, thought you asked him if he was fit, bro. Like I said, man, I saw Smith Rowe once, and he was walking, and he had his head down. He was next to a security guard. He didn't make any eye contact with anybody, and he got straight on the coach, and I said, yeah, that's him done. Just briefly on the Smith Rowe sale. Listen, I've always said I'd like to see Smith Rowe get another chance, but I also understand the sale, to be honest. My thought process was I'm trying to sell Fabio Vieira and Nelson and Nketiah and people like that before I sell Smith Rowe. But as I said in an interview with Robbie that we did, as fans, you want the worst players to get sold first. But the problem is clubs want your better players before your worst players. So you're going to have more clubs trying to buy Smith Rowe than maybe Fabio Vieira or Eddie Nketiah. So 34 million is not bad business. I think there's a 10 or 20% sell-on clause. He scored last night in his first friendly for them as well. So, listen, I wish him all the best, apart from when he plays against us. So, it was a shame. It was a shame. I always thought he could have come back and got a chance, but the club have to raise money. But, make sure you sell the other players who I look at them more as deadwood than I do somebody like Smith Rowe. So, before we round up, obviously yesterday, everybody returned to training. Here's a picture of Calafiore next to Declan Rice. Obviously Saka, Raya, Ramsdale, Saliba, all the boys that got to the latter stages of international tournaments have now returned. And we'll have the full squad available for tomorrow. Now, I don't expect Rice and them to be starting, but I would expect them to play some part in the game. I have to say, just briefly, get some questions in if you want before we finish as well, because I can see a few questions. So we'll finish off with a few questions. Anything you want, transfers, the tour, anything. Z said, Curtis, how was Nelson, in your opinion, on the US tour? He looked really good. Listen, Reece Nelson, for me, and by the way, he's a cool guy. Right, really good guy, always gives up his time, was always willing to chat. He's one of the most frustrating players at Arsenal, right? Because he does so much right in a game. He's quick, he's direct, he's sharp. You think, wow, there's talent there. But the end product is so frustrating with him. And that's the problem. He looks super sharp in all three of the games, but the end product for me is not good enough. And again, the same thing that I said about Eddie Nketiah. Reece Nelson is not 18, fresh out of the youth team. Reece Nelson's 24. He turns 25 in December. He's still playing to me like a player that hasn't played enough football. So, for me, if I was being totally honest, if you can get a good offer for Reece Nelson, I would sell him. I would sell him. And listen, I feel bad because I've spoke to these guys in pre-season, but as I said, I will still come back on this channel and speak my truth. Reece Nelson is clearly a talented footballer. The end product isn't quite good enough, and he hasn't played enough football, and I think that stopped his development. So for me, if you could get maybe 20 million or more for Reece, I would move him on, and I would go for a more established right winger to challenge Saka. That's my opinion on it. Let me know what you guys think on that. Zinni has changed number. He's going nowhere. That's interesting. I didn't even know that. Zinchenko got the number 17. What did he have before? 35 or something. Yeah, Zinni ain't going nowhere, people. Zinni's going absolutely nowhere. Unknown C said, Nelson needs to go for me, for him and for us to get value. I agree with that. I think it's time for him to go. I just want to say in terms of Zinni, again, played left back against Liverpool. Salah absolutely roasted him. He was very good on the ball. And again, I've said it before, I would say to Zinchenko, I consider you now as a centre midfielder. You're a backup left back in an emergency. Challenge to play in midfield. He's not good enough at left back. He can't defend against quality wingers. But yeah, Zinni's going absolutely nowhere. Marty said, you've turned the players into fanboys. They love the show, man. C-Unit business. William Saliba said, if we go trophyless, do you think Saliba will leave? If Madrid came in for him next summer and we didn't win anything and they made a big offer for him, I think we'd have a big problem on our hands. And unfortunately, I think that Madrid will look at him next summer. You've got to win trophies to keep him there. Why did Van Dijk never leave Liverpool? Because, let's be honest, every year to 2 years, Liverpool won a major trophy. Do you know what I mean? And that keeps players happy. Why has Kevin De Bruyne never left Manchester City? Because every year to 2 years, Man City win a major trophy. Trophies and finances will keep players happy. Saliba needs to win a trophy this season or Madrid will come knocking. See, I think the onus is more on Edu than Arteta, and that's a good point. That is a good point. Because let's be honest, no manager sits there and says, you know what, I don't want no new players. They don't do that. Arteta has probably gone to Edu and said, I want this, this and that. And maybe he can't deliver it because we haven't sold anybody, really. So we need to sell another 3 or 4 players. So, yeah, I do have to say, so a lot of it could be on Edu. And I've said this is a big summer for him. Big C, your opinion on Tomiyasu? For me, if someone offered decent money, he would be off. Injured again, missed all the preseason. He's getting to that point for me where, yeah, he could get shifted at the right price. Tomiyasu genuinely gets injured even when he doesn't play football. Like, it's unbelievable with this guy. I know people say, yeah, but Partey's been injured a lot. Partey has a year left on his contract. He's going to leave next summer on a free. I want Partey to be a backup player next season. But yeah, Tomiyasu just constantly injured. Constantly. So frustrating. And look, Partey's 30. He's got a lot of mileage on the clock as a player. Tomiyasu's like 25, you know. Let's finish with some questions. Get some questions in. Anything you want to talk about? Any transfers? Anything to do with the tour, the upcoming games? Are you going to any of the friendlies? What is going on, people? Rory said, Curtis Mikel, do you watch other content like it? Yeah. That would have been a good question, wouldn't it? Mikel, do you watch media fan channels of Arsenal to get a feeling of what the fans think? That would have been a very interesting question, actually. Did you prefer LA or New York? They're so different. Oh, it's difficult. I always said New York felt very inspirational, the bright lights. You know, but LA I had a really good time in LA this time. They're almost the same for me, but very different. LA is the beach vibe. New York's the city vibe. Close, very close. There's still something special about New York, though, I have to admit. There's a vibe and a feeling there that is almost unexplainable, to be honest. See, if we get a striker and a centre mid and we don't win, would you still want Arteta out? I mean, listen, if he got a top striker and a top midfielder and we didn't win the league, then it would be very difficult to say that you keep him because, you know, he needs to win things. He's got to win something this season. We need to see trophies. Would you pick Watkins, Tony, or Solanke or Osimhen? Honestly, out of them 4, not Solanke. I would go for Tony or Osimhen out of them 4. To be honest, I like the aggression. I like aggressive strikers that can bully people and they can play. Goatanelli said, who should we get a number 10? I would have liked Xavi Simons, and Dani Olmo's going to Barcelona. I think he's a very good player. So I would get Eze. Would be my attacking midfielder that I would go for. I would go for Eze, to be honest. Where are we finishing this season? Levan, I would say, as we are right now, right, I can't talk about what's going to happen if we sign 3 or 4 players. Right now, we finish probably second again. I don't think we've done enough. We finished second last year. I just don't think Calafiore alone bridges that gap to Manchester City. I think second at best. And I am a little bit concerned about Liverpool. I'm going to be honest. I know because Klopp's gone, but I actually think, I saw Liverpool playing possession-based football against us, and I thought, you know what? That manager might actually take them to a different level with that style of football. We will do fantasy football. I'll launch that next week before the season starts. Get a striker and a centre mid of high quality, we'll have a different conversation. But as we are right now, I don't think we're better than Man City. I've seen people doing interviews saying we're better than Man City or we're favourites to win the league. I don't know how. I just don't know how. Did you speak to Robbie about a Jamaican tour? He assures me he's going to try and do one. So hopefully they will do one. Let's see. Big C, take one player from the big 6 clubs. I mean, Man City, it's a boring answer. You've got to take Haaland, especially with the age. I still think De Bruyne's their best player, but he's 32, 33, so I take Haaland. Liverpool, I would take... Who would I take at Liverpool, actually? My initial thought was take Salah, but Salah 32, but he's still their best player, isn't he? Still probably go Salah. They haven't got an amazing centre mid or an amazing striker. Tottenham, I mean, I don't like any Tottenham players, but I'd probably take... Oh, that's a good point. What an answer that is. Alisson. That is the correct answer, by the way. That's the only correct answer. Alisson, oh my days, 100% best goalkeeper in the league. Tottenham, I would take probably Maddison. He'd be good for Odegaard challenge. What other clubs? Chelsea. Who would I take from Chelsea? They got a million players. Probably Caicedo, maybe. Probably Caicedo or... I mean, I like Enzo as a player, but for obvious reasons, I ain't picking Enzo. Trent as well. Trent at Liverpool would be a good one. Maybe Son as well. Yeah, maybe Son at Tottenham. Cole Palmer. Yeah, you're right. Cole Palmer. Palmer would be the one. It's because I'm not thinking of who their best player is. I'm thinking of who would get in our team. Cole Palmer probably doesn't get in the Arsenal team ahead of Saka, but he is a great player. So yeah, I was thinking more. We need a centre mid. Yeah, Udogie's good at Tottenham as well. Man United, I would probably take Kobbie Mainoo. I think and I would still probably take Marcus Rashford as well. Probably no one else. Don't really rate many players at Man United. So, yeah, that's probably what I'd take. Haaland, Alisson or Trent, Palmer or Caicedo, probably Son or Maddison, and probably Mainoo or Rashford. They'll be the ones. Are you coming tonight? Yeah, they'll probably... No, Xerxes, for me, I called him Picky Head Ross, so I don't think I can pick him now after that. If Odegaard gets injured, we are in trouble, said Kyle. Yeah. We're lacking creativity in there. Who gets the 10 jersey after ESR? There was a whisper on tour that Odegaard was going to move to number 10. He's obviously, I think he's number 8 at the moment. There was a lot of rumours that Martin Odegaard's going to move to the number 10 shirt this season. So we'll have to see. No, I wouldn't want Bruno. I don't like him. Don't rate him highly either. Alvarez for 84 million is too much. I mean... The thing is, right now, the striker market is very weak. Alvarez only 24. He's a World Cup winner. He's got that Argentinian dog in him, and Simeone's Argentinian. Listen, if you're going to pay 80 million for Gyokeres, who's had one good year in Portugal, maybe they're going to they look at. I think Alvarez probably worth a little bit less than that, but he's a fantastic player. Still sipping that Fiji water, bro. You know what it is? I was drinking it in America. I've come back and just ordered about 30 bottles of it. It's my favourite water at the moment. And, you know, we got to drink more water. Too much for a backup striker. But you know what it is? Sometimes backup strikers turn into first-team players. Alexis was a backup winger at Barcelona. He ends up being one of the best wingers we've ever seen at Arsenal. So sometimes backup players turn into top players, you know. Alvarez, I think Alvarez is probably worth 80 million in the modern game. But there were links to Arsenal at one stage, but I just don't think Pep would sell him to us now. Just due to, you know, all of the history and the title challenge. Xerxes Huey from the Moon Talks. Hey, big up. Listen, people, I'm going to round up there. We've been live for an hour and 10 minutes. Big up to everyone locked in. Really appreciate your support. As I said, I'll be back at 2 p.m. tomorrow. No live stream, unfortunately. But make sure you subscribe to the channel. We're less than 500 away from 80k now. We want to hit 100k this year. What I'm really going to do, we're going to continue with the live streams, but get pre-recorded content out as well. A lot more reviews and things like that. And we got loads of ideas. We're going to do a member stream as well before the season starts. So we'll do that at the start of next week because we haven't done one for nearly 2 months. So I definitely need to get a member stream in. It'll be good to do it after the 2 friendlies this week so we can get a bit more of an idea going into the first league game of the season. And hopefully we've signed a couple of players by then as well. Big up to everyone for keeping it locked. Appreciate all your support on the tour. If you're watching this on playback, get your comments in after. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you all at 2 p.m. tomorrow, people. Bless.